Guys, today I want to talk to you about the search for love. So, I'm going to talk about this in two different ways. The physical search for love, like the love that we search for in our physical everyday life, and then the road to love that I consider to be the higher path. Not necessarily because it's better, but because it actually ends up cultivating within us a deeper understanding of that which we search for in our physical world. Um, so um, let's talk about how we perceive love in the physical world, because love is an abstract concept. And if you ask 1,000 people what love is to them, you'll probably end up with close to 1,000 different responses. And we have literature and we have movies and we have Hallmark that has literally like destroyed our understanding of what love truly is. And I totally mean that about the Hallmark, because like, I mean, how many times have you watched the same movie over and over again? Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy wins girl back, and then they're all happy. Why does the boy always have to lose the girl? Why does there always have to be strife within the love? Maybe it's because we have to better appreciate it. I don't know. But I digress. So when we talk about like looking for love in the physical world, a lot of times we are looking for that physical attraction. We are looking for the reason to give love and then hopefully receive it in return. Um, and this is not like an abnormal thing. This is something that we do on a daily basis, even if we're not aware of it. We are constantly searching for the elusive feeling of love. And this is why I state that cultivating that love within self is the higher path, because when you start to truly understand what love means to you, that's when you can actually truly find it in the physical world. And I don't even necessarily mean through other people. And it could literally be like a sign on the side of the road that reminds you that you're not alone and that you are loved, because the divine loves you. And if the divine didn't love you, then, well, I'm pretty sure you would have a pretty terrible life. We would just everything would just fall apart and crash on you. But that's not the way it happens, right? Like even when we have those hard moments, those moments of sadness and anger and all of those uncomfortable emotions, there's something within us that says, hey, you're still loved. And so cultivating that higher understanding of love for yourself is so important. So let's talk about self-love. And I talk about this a lot. In the past, I've talked about the 5 facets of self-love that I believe are the cornerstones. Yes, there's 5, they're not just 4. That are the cornerstones of cultivating that love within yourself. Because when we have that self-love, the love on the outside physical world, it doesn't pale in comparison. As a matter of fact, it illuminates it in a way that we may not have seen before. So when you start to look at yourself in the mirror every single day and give yourself a, hey, how you doing? Like Joey yourself. I don't know. Make yourself realize that you are one of a kind. This is a very unique way to look at yourself, because we don't typically look at ourselves and be like, hey, how you doing? No, we typically look at ourselves and we're like, oh, my hair's a mess. Oh, I have a wrinkle here. Oh, gosh. We look in the mirror and we're like, what is that flaw I see? Instead of, oh, wow, you look fabulous today. But we don't expect, we expect other people to do this for us. We wait for those compliments when we dress up or go out the house in our favorite dress, and we're like, oh, I hope someone's going to tell me I look good today. No, 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 no. This is when you tell yourself, hey, you look fabulous. And then you walk out of the house and suddenly everybody's looking at you because you feel like you look fabulous. And everybody's like, oh, I like that attention that they're giving to themselves. It's attractive. I like this. And think about like other people you're attracted to. You're more attracted to the people that are confident about themselves than the people that are like, I'm an okay person. Like, I wouldn't really give my time to me. So we cultivate that inner self love, that inner confidence. It shows up in our physical world without us even trying, because that's the energy that we're putting out there. And it doesn't just like, boost your confidence a little. No, it solidifies this feeling of I love myself. And I'm not talking about being like, oh, you're the greatest thing that ever lived. And then like, lying to yourself, or you're pumping yourself up beyond where you actually are. We don't want to lie to ourselves, but we want to appreciate who we are. And that doesn't just start with our physical looks. That starts with our own desire to know ourselves, to stop pretending to be like everybody else, because we're not. Every single one of us has a unique personality. There isn't another person in the world that looks, speaks, talks exactly like you unless you're their, twin. So to expect yourself to be like everybody else, that's an expectation you don't need to put on yourself. It really is. If you see yourself as a beautiful unicorn, regardless of how you feel internally, this will start to shift. I know that the thoughts that go through the head, especially when listening to someone talk about self love, this can be a difficult topic to take in. Um, I I know when I was a child, um, I very deeply disliked myself, very much, and uh, my therapy was to stand in front of the mirror every single day and speak to myself. And they gave me 3 lines to say every single day. And I didn't believe any of those lines, like, because they were not obvious in my life, they were not present in my life, and so I absolutely hated the task. I felt like I was lying to myself every single day, which is why when I became an adult and became a therapist myself, I changed this activity that was still being prescribed as when I became an adult, to a different understanding. Um, and I've talked about this before as well. The looking at oneself and giving self affirmations that actually make you believe yourself. It's hard, especially when you are sweeping up a giant pile of mess that your emotions or your entire mental health has become, especially because we have a tendency to blame ourselves. We blame ourselves for the way we reacted to a trauma, and it's not fair to us. It's not. So instead of looking in the mirror and just saying, I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm blah, 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 really thinking about those affirmations, like 3 of them. The very first one is one that you should always, 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 always fully believe about yourself. It doesn't matter how big, how small, how extravagant, how simple it is, as long as you believe it about yourself. The second one is one that other people tell you. And this actually comes from something that we used to do when I was in group therapies as a therapist. Um, I don't actually remember what it was called, but it was a 4-part system. Things that you know about yourself, things that people tell you about yourself, things that you don't believe about yourself, but other people tell you about yourself, and the things that you don't know about yourself or nobody knows about yourself. Um, And so when we take from this second category of things that people tell us about ourselves that we have a probability of being able to believe, but maybe not like fully believe. For example, like let's say that people tell you all the time you're funny, and you're like, oh yeah, well I guess I am funny. Okay, so that could be your second affirmation, and then your third affirmation is something that you want to believe about yourself. You can believe about yourself, but you may not possibly believe about yourself just yet. And my favorite for this one is I am strong, because it does not matter how many times you have fallen. It only matters how many times you've gotten back up. And I'm a firm believer in this because a thousand times I have fallen, but I never gave up. And that's why I tell myself on a daily basis, I'm proud of you. You are strong. Because I wake up every single day, regardless of what happened the day before, and I put a smile on my face and I tell myself, today's going to be a good day. I don't force that into my reality. I coerce it into my reality. I tell myself, I'm good. I'm happy. I love my life. And I do. And that's what's cultivated on the inside of me because of my journey into self love. I spent 39 years of my life waiting for someone else to show me the love that I have found for myself. And I consider this to be the higher path because the love that I've cultivated inside of me really honestly pales in comparison to even the people that I love more dearly than I've ever loved anybody in my life. Because the love that I have for them would only be stopped by one thing, and that's myself. If I felt that my own self was not being cared for, I would take care of myself. So the love that I have for others is surpassed by the love that I have for myself. I'm not calling this a selfish kind of love. This is a love, not even of self-preservation, but of self-admiration. And this kind of love is something no one can take away from you. I promise you that. Because I know me better than anybody in this entire world does. There's nobody in this world that truly knows everything about me. I've never been that way. Everything that everybody knows, yes, is my entire story spread out over a lot of people. So the love that I have for myself is a love that transcends the physical. Now, that isn't just the love that I have cultivated for myself. This is the type of love that I have evolved into when it comes to outside individuals. I am selective with the people that I let into my circle. And it's for no other reason than to be able to give them as much as I can without overwhelming myself. I love very deeply. So when I allow people into my life, I love them just as deeply as I love myself. Again, with that one exception. If I find that my own personal love is not achieved, then I will take care of that for myself. And it gives me the ability to give and receive and strengthen and re-energize my own love so that I don't fall apart. I don't forget. And I never stop loving myself. Just because other people don't see love the way that you see love, or don't understand what you understand about love, doesn't make you wrong and it doesn't make them wrong. It's literally just your level of understanding. If we spend all of our lives captivated by the shallow understanding of love that Hollywood has pushed on us, it, we're going to feel very unsatisfied. Because love isn't about excitement. Love isn't about that fluttering you get in your chest. Love is about the dedication you have not only to your partner, but to yourself. Love is an action. You can't just say, I love you. Saying I love you are words. But if you don't show the action of love, do you truly love that person? Which is why I find it to be extremely important to cultivate that inner love. When you start to realize what it is that you need in your everyday life for yourself in love, you change your standards. You change the way you see other people. You change the way you see love itself. It is no longer a flowers and candy kind of thing. It's, will you be able to hold the depth of this conversation? Do you trust me enough to trust you enough that if you don't like the way that I'm talking to you, you will be honest with me? And if I am honest with you and I set a boundary, that's that's life. That's love. That's accepting that a line is being placed in the sand. And my loving you is trusting that you will love me and trust me enough to follow these same kind of tendencies. So even though love may be an elusive understanding, something that is beyond what we've been taught, it doesn't mean we can't understand it. It means that it's more personal than we'd ever understood before. So, fall in love with yourself. I'm not saying you don't need another person. Life is beautiful when you share it with someone else. But until you actually learn to be happy alone and to say, I don't need that in my life, we're stuck chasing something that we don't understand. So, I hope you have a wonderful day and that all your dreams and desires come true. Bye, guys.